Okay, so let's talk about the Path of Exile situation. I spent the day thinking about it, kind of got some takes from my community on the live stream, see what people were thinking about it, took some polls also to kind of gauge how people are feeling about it, read some of the comments, both from Reddit, seen some other opinions of people in their videos, and kind of informed myself on the general sentiment of people and then thought about how I thought about it personally. We're going to kind of break down what it is that is going on for the people that are not informed so you can be part of the conversation. Then we'll get into my opinion. There was this video that came out on the 29th, and in this video, they state effectively that Path of Exile 2 is currently using resources within their company, meaning their development team specifically, to continue the development of Path of Exile 2. And because of this, they have not effectively been working on Path of Exile 1 since around July. Now, they have known that there was going to be a problem with Path of Exile 1's development since around July, as they state in this video. However, they believed they could still come back and fix the problem within a timely manner. So they continue to move ahead using the resources from Path of Exile 1 to continue development of Path of Exile 2. Now, what's notable about this is that because of their recent shift towards endgame, and they actually credit Diablo 4 for this in one of their interviews, I think it was the one done with Legendary Drops, in which they state that they saw that people were basically negative about the endgame of Diablo 4, and they didn't want to launch a game without endgame as they think it comes with negative implications. And I think this is an important point because we're going to talk about this more later. So they focused on the endgame in particular. And because of this, their shift, it was more of an, not really emergency, but more of like a hurried production. And so that is, I believe, is part of the reason to account for why the endgame, in some people's opinion, seems obviously not complete. And I would tend to agree with those opinions in Path of Exile 2. Now, because of this recent shift and because of it not being completed, that means on the launch of the early access, people notice it's not completed and have feedback or complaints related to the in-game systems. In his own words, he says, there are fires to be put out within this video. So because of that, that means that that team that was pulled from Path of Exile 1 is now specifically continuing to work on Path of Exile 2. And you might think to yourself, maybe you're not as avid of a consumer, or maybe you didn't play PoE 1, you're just really enjoying PoE 2. You might think to yourself, well, this seems very reasonable. This is a sequel to the game after all. Why would they not divert the resources directly to the sequel to continue to both boost its popularity as well as put out these said fires? And see, this is where the diverge in opinions is going to start, because the reason as to why you might think that this is not acceptable is outside of the context of it's a sequel and they're focusing on it's the new fresh thing, is because they have directly stated as much that they will continue to develop Path of Exile 1 and develop them in tandem with Path of Exile 2. Many times it's been stated that what they don't what will not have happen is that Path of Exile 1 is affected by the development of Path of Exile 2. These are direct quotes, from the developers themselves and the people in control, basically, of the fate of Path of Exile. So they have been stating to the audience vocally that this would not be the case and has become the case. So then you might say, okay, well, DM, I understand now, they said one thing, they're doing another. I've seen a counter argument related to people saying, well, new information, they changed their mind. What's the big deal about changing their mind or having new information? So they have to focus on the new product. Well, the counterpoint to that one at the moment is, yes, you're right. Maybe they do have new information. It was a bigger hit than they expected. It's financially supporting them more than they expected as well. But that's another point we're going to talk about in just a second here. However, they are now stating this here going on the end of January when this information about Path of Exile 1 not being in development has been known for a while. And so it kind of breaks down to the thing that GGG has been praised for continually is their complete transparency with the audience and their ability to communicate what's going on, apologize for mistakes made, and also be able to inform you as decisions are made. And it's the as they are being made part that's important here, because effectively how this feels for people that are Path of Exile 1 enjoyers is that they specifically delayed this announcement until after the successful release of Path of Exile 2 in order to not have negative connotations surrounding Path of Exile 2. Imagine they do this announcement back in November, just before the release of Path of Exile 2, saying Path of Exile 1 will not have a league for a while, directly conflicting with their previous information given around Path of Exile 1's development not being influenced by Path of Exile 2. There would be a certain population of Path of Exile that would not want to support the new product because of that new information. So it feels like this is not the transparency that the community is quite used to, due to the fact that they actually benefit from the lack of transparency due to a new product release on this one. That's why you see people push back when people say, I appreciate the transparency and clarity, because it doesn't actually, in this scenario, feel like transparency. It feels like an apology for someone that knew they, stole it from the cookie jar and eventually has to admit it. So in order to be able to set the stage for people and why they're upset, so you don't just hand wave their complaints, you need to understand that, one, they knew this information for a long period of time and purposefully basically chose not to disclose this information until it became readily obvious. Even if we go back into just December, before the launch of the game, that's still 6 months leagues. If we go back to November, that would have been 5 months. At that point, Path of Exile 1s are already delayed, and the Path of Exile 1 league is still a ways off, because currently, as of now, they still are not actively working on the league. So the reality of a 1 year new league for Path of Exile 1 is looking like a very real reality. Now, let's say you understand all these points, but you're still of the opinion this seems a little drama heavy. This doesn't really seem like something in which is too serious of a deal. They're developing a new product. GGG has earned a lot of goodwill. Why not continue to believe in them and their product and give them all the time they need? Well, I am very certainly willing to give them all the time they need. I'm enjoying their new product very much. But to argue for the people that are upset right now, there would be another counter argument to that, which is, well, I have been supporting them. In fact, I have been supporting them financially wise with the release of their supporter packs. They continually drop supporter packs with as expensive as much as $480. I myself have bought 3 of these $480 packs and have my collector's edition art book and all there right there. And this is all very good product. I mean, it actually looks fantastic. I think the hoodies that I have right here are great. I have all the signed art from the devs. I don't begrudge my purchases literally at all. I think they were worth every bit of the money because I'm in love with their product. But the point being that they are basically offering financial incentives for their company, selling products related to the game, while also stating that the game that people are purchasing these products from, Path of Exile 1, for instance, when you bought the supporter pack, the skins and all that work in PoE 1, and they say they'll transfer your microtransactions, so all of your PoE 1 stuff is coming to PoE 1 or PoE 2. So if you're buying supporter packs to support the funding of their new game, if you don't like their new game, well, you still have the old game. That is effectively one of the sales pitches used to sell products at a decently expensive price under the guise of supporting the company. And so that is where you come into people who will feel like, I have been both supporting the game with my time, with my finances, with my belief in the company, and I would have expected this information to come out as soon as possible or sooner, instead of sort of delaying the information till after a successful release of the game. And if you had released it earlier, there would be a portion of people that would not have bought the supporter packs, would not have played the game as much, and that might have influenced some of the numbers, as Path of Exile 2 was very successful and is one point the #1 most sold product on the Steam store. So if you're asking my opinion after a breakdown of sort of the different opinions I've seen, I fall in this. I believe GGG, for me specifically, has built up enough goodwill that I am willing to obviously wait for Path of Exile 2 content. But I am a massive Path of Exile 2 enjoyer at the moment. So Path of Exile 1 League does not delay me as much. However, this is the first time in which I would actually not call this transparency. I would say that this seems to me like the first time I've seen something where I thought, that seems actually like a smart marketing tactic to make sure that this information is released after a successful release and did not bring negative feelings prior to the release that might have spurred some sort of boycott or a portion of the community that's not willing to buy the supporter packs. And in my opinion, I don't like that. So specifically, my opinion is this: willing to wait the time. the gameplay, being delayed PoE1 doesn't affect me as much personally, so it's not going to upset me as much. However, I don't specifically like the announcement timing of this being so late after financial supporter packs were released. GGG has enough goodwill, and for me personally, I'll just only speak for myself. I know people feel different about this, and I've seen enough bad development of games from other gaming companies that, in my opinion, GGG is still one of the best, if not the best, ARPG-related gaming company out there. And so I'm going to continue to give them my goodwill and time and wait for it, because even if it is, let's call it, a blunder or a marketing tactic or something, if it was even, let's use the word underhanded, if I really want to be like firm about my opinions on this one, I'm willing to forgive one. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, and you're welcome to all your own opinions. I only speak for myself, but that's currently how I see this situation. Love you all. Hope you have a wonderful day.